As I lay motionless, my wife yelled at me to stop pretending. Her family mocked me until the paramedic checked my legs and froze, then called the police. What the MRI revealed next. The grass felt cold against my cheek when I realized I couldn't move. "Stop being a baby and get up," my wife's voice cut through the afternoon air. "You're embarrassing me in front of my family." We were in her parents' backyard in suburban Cleveland, celebrating her sister's graduation. I'd been carrying a cooler of drinks down the wooden deck stairs when the third step cracked beneath my foot. The sound was like a gunshot. Then I was falling. When I hit the ground, something in my back made a sound I'd never heard before, a wet crunch that shouldn't exist in a human body. "Come on, Nathan," Stephanie snapped from above. "This is ridiculous. Just stand up." I tried. Nothing happened. My legs didn't move, didn't respond, didn't even tingle. Nothing. "I can't," I managed to say, my voice coming out strangled. "I can't feel my legs." Her brother Travis appeared in my field of vision, beer bottle in hand, smirking. "Dramatic much? You slipped on some stairs, dude. It's not like you fell off a building." Stephanie's sister Nicole crossed her arms, her graduation cap still on her head. "This is supposed to be my day. Why does everything always have to be about you?" I tried to explain that I couldn't move, but panic was flooding my system now. That wet crunch, the complete absence of sensation below my waist, the way my body refused to respond to commands. My brain was screaming. "Stephanie," I said, forcing the words out. "Something's really wrong. I need help." She rolled her eyes. "You're fine. You always do this. Always making a scene for attention." That's when I heard a voice I didn't recognize. "Everyone step back. Right now." A woman pushed through the crowd of Stephanie's relatives. She was in her 40s, wearing a tank top and jeans with a no-nonsense expression that immediately commanded the space. "I'm Beth Morrison," she said, kneeling beside me. "Paramedic. Been doing this for 19 years. Nobody touch him." She looked directly into my eyes. "Nathan, I need you to stay very still. Can you feel this?" She pinched my ankle. "Nothing." "No," I whispered. Her jaw tightened in a way that made my stomach drop. She moved her hand up to my calf. "This?" "No." Her face went from serious to alarmed. She pulled out her phone and dialed 911, her voice crisp and professional. "This is Paramedic Beth Morrison, off duty. I need immediate ambulance dispatch to 4782 Oakwood Drive. Male, approximately 30 years old, presenting with complete bilateral lower extremity paralysis following a fall. Possible spinal cord injury. Treat as critical." The backyard went silent. Travis's smirk disappeared. Nicole's mouth fell open. Stephanie's face finally drained of color. "What do you mean paralysis?" Stephanie's voice came out thin. "He just fell down some stairs. Ma'am, I need you to step back," Beth said without looking up. She was running her hands carefully along my spine, her touch professional and methodical. When she reached my mid-back, I saw her expression change. She leaned closer, examining something I couldn't see. Then she looked up at the deck stairs, at the broken step, at the people standing around. "How exactly did you fall?" she asked me quietly. "I was carrying the cooler down. The step broke. I lost my balance and..." I stopped because I just remembered something. Right before I fell, I'd felt something. A hard impact between my shoulder blades. A push. But that couldn't be right. Could it? "Was anyone behind you on the stairs?" Beth asked. I thought back. Travis was. "He was telling me I was taking too long, that I needed to move faster." "That's not what happened," Travis cut in quickly. "I was nowhere near him when he fell." Beth's eyes narrowed. She stood up and walked to the deck stairs, examining them carefully. The sirens were getting closer now. When the ambulance arrived 3 minutes later, Beth spoke rapidly to the paramedics. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught fragments. "Complete lower extremity paralysis. Fall mechanism inconsistent with injury pattern. Possible blunt force trauma to thoracic spine." One of the paramedics, a young guy with kind eyes, knelt beside me. His name tag read James Chen. Wait, no, I need to avoid that name. His name tag read James Porter. "Nathan, we're going to get you to the hospital. I need you to stay very still. We're going to put you on a backboard, okay?" They worked with practiced efficiency, stabilizing my neck, sliding the board beneath me, strapping me down. Every movement made me more aware of what I couldn't feel. My legs were just gone, dead weight. As they lifted me onto the gurney, Beth was talking to James in a low voice. "Injury pattern isn't consistent with a simple fall. The bruising on his upper back suggests impact from behind, and the brake pattern on that step looks fresh, like it was compromised recently." James nodded and pulled out his radio. "Dispatch, be advised we need police backup at this location. Possible assault investigation." "Police?" Stephanie stepped forward, her voice rising. "Why would we need police? He fell." Nobody answered her. The last thing I saw before they loaded me into the ambulance was Beth taking photos of the broken stair with her phone and Travis's face going pale. The hospital was a blur of bright lights and antiseptic smells, and people speaking medical terms I didn't understand. They rushed me through x-rays first, then CT scans, then straight to an MRI. The machine swallowed me whole, pounding and clicking and whirring around me. I lay there perfectly still, not that I had a choice, and tried not to think about the question that kept circling my mind like a vulture. Would I ever walk again? Stephanie arrived at the hospital around the time they were pulling me out of the MRI. She looked annoyed, like this was all a massive inconvenience. "The doctors are saying it's serious," she said, as if I was somehow at fault for that. "They're talking about surgery. Do you know how expensive that's going to be?" be? I stared at her. I can't feel my legs. Well, maybe if you'd been more careful on the stairs. A doctor entered before she could finish. He was in his 50s with gray hair and the calm demeanor of someone who'd delivered bad news 1,000 times. I'm Dr. Richard Hawthorne, he said. Trauma surgeon. I've been practicing for 23 years. Mr. Morrison, we need to discuss your scans. He pulled up images on the computer screen. My spine and cross-section, looking wrong in ways I didn't have the medical knowledge to understand. You have a severe spinal cord injury at the T10, T11 level. There's significant compression of the spinal cord, internal swelling, and he paused, exchanging a glance with the other doctor who'd entered with him. And? I prompted. The second doctor stepped forward. She was younger, maybe early 40s, with sharp eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. I'm Dr. Patricia Yamamoto, neurologist. 17 years of experience in spinal trauma. Mr. Morrison, your injury pattern is unusual. Unusual how? She zoomed in on the images. The fracture pattern and the bruising we're seeing, both externally and in the deep tissue, aren't consistent with a simple fall. My mouth went dry. What are they consistent with? A concentrated force applied from behind, she said carefully. The injury suggests someone or something struck you with significant force directly on the spine while you were in motion. The room tilted. Stephanie laughed. That nervous, high-pitched laugh she did when she was uncomfortable. That's ridiculous. He slipped on a broken stair. Nobody touched him. Ma'am, Dr. Hawthorne said gently, we're required by law to report injuries that show signs of potential assault to the authorities. The police have already been notified. The police? Stephanie's voice went shrill. This is insane. My family didn't do anything wrong. Two police officers entered the room as if summoned by her words. I'm Officer Linda Vasquez, the first one said. She was in her 30s, with her hair pulled back tight and eyes that missed nothing. 15 years with the Cleveland PD. This is my partner, Officer Deshaun Brooks. 8 years on the force. Officer Brooks pulled out a notebook. Mr. Morrison, we need to ask you some questions about what happened today. I told them everything I could remember. The graduation party, being asked to bring the cooler of drinks from the deck, Travis following me down the stairs, complaining I was taking too long, the step breaking, the fall, and then, because Beth's questions had shaken something loose in my memory, I told them about the push. Right before I fell, I said slowly, I felt something, like someone shoved me between the shoulder blades. Hard. I thought I'd imagined it, but the medical evidence suggests you didn't. Officer Vasquez finished. She made a note. Where was your brother-in-law at the time of the fall? Right behind me on the stairs. Mr. Morrison, I want to be clear about something, Officer Brooks said. The doctors have indicated that your injury is consistent with a forceful impact from behind. If someone pushed you, even if they claim it was accidental, that's assault. Possibly aggravated assault given the severity of your injuries. Stephanie stood up abruptly. This is ridiculous. Travis wouldn't. He didn't. You're all insane. Ma'am, we'll need to speak with you separately, Officer Vasquez said calmly, and with everyone who was present at the time of the incident. They left to interview the family members who'd come to the hospital. Stephanie went with them, shooting me a look that clearly said I was betraying her somehow. I lay there in the hospital bed, still unable to feel anything below my waist, and tried to process what was happening. Had Travis pushed me? Why would he push me? Dr. Hawthorne returned with a surgical consent form. We need to operate as soon as possible. The compression on your spinal cord is severe. We may be able to relieve some of the pressure, but Mr. Morrison, he paused. I need you to understand that the damage is extensive. Even with surgery, the likelihood of regaining function in your lower extremities is very small. The words took a moment to penetrate. You mean I won't walk again? I mean, that paralysis is the most likely outcome. I'm sorry. He left me to process that while nurses prepped me for surgery. Stephanie came back into the room 30 minutes later, her face flushed and angry. The police are questioning Travis like he's a criminal, she hissed. They're treating this like he tried to hurt you. You need to tell them it was an accident. Was it? I asked quietly. Of course it was. He's my brother. Then he won't have anything to worry about. Her face hardened. I can't believe you're doing this. To my family, on Nicole's graduation day. I'm not doing anything. I'm lying here paralyzed. They're saying you might sue us, she continued, as if I hadn't spoken. Our homeowner's insurance, my parents' assets. Do you have any idea what this could do to my family? Not our family. Her family. I don't know what I'm going to do, I said. But right now, I'm going into surgery to try to save whatever function I might have left. So maybe we can discuss your family's finances later. She left without another word. The surgery lasted 7 hours. When I woke up, groggy from anesthesia, a nurse was checking my vitals. I tried to move my toes. Nothing. The surgery went as well as could be expected. Dr. Hawthorne told me the next morning. We relieved the pressure on the spinal cord and stabilized the fracture. But the damage to the cord itself, Mr. Morrison, I'm sorry. The paralysis is permanent. Permanent. The word echoed in my head for hours. I was 32 years old and I would never walk again. Stephanie visited twice in the week following surgery. The first time, she brought a magazine and sat in the corner on her phone. The second time, she complained about parking fees and how hard this was for her. The police are still investigating, she said on that second visit. They took Travis's phone. They're interviewing everyone who was at the party. My mom is having a breakdown. My dad is talking about hiring a lawyer. What does Travis say happened? He says he didn't touch you, that you just fell, that the step step was rotten and gave out. Beth, the paramedic, said the brake on that step looked fresh, like it had been tampered with recently. Stephanie's face flushed. Are you seriously suggesting my brother sabotaged the stairs? Why would he do that? I don't know. Why would he push me? He didn't push you, but her voice had that defensive edge that meant she wasn't sure. Officer Vasquez visited me on day 9. She brought security camera footage on a tablet. Your in-law's neighbor has a camera system that covers part of their backyard, she said. We subpoenaed the footage. I think you need to see this. She pressed play. The angle wasn't perfect. It showed the deck from the side, but it was clear enough. There I was, carrying the cooler down the stairs. Travis behind me, gesturing angrily, his mouth moving in what looked like shouting. Then, just as I reached the 3rd step, Travis's arm extended, a clear, deliberate push between my shoulder blades. The step broke, not from rot, but from the sudden weight shift and momentum. I fell. On the video, Travis immediately backed up, his face shocked. Then he schooled his expression into something casual, before following me down to where I lay motionless on the ground. We've arrested your brother-in-law, Officer Vasquez said quietly. He's been charged with aggravated assault. The prosecutor is considering additional charges given the severity of your permanent injuries. I couldn't speak, couldn't process it. Travis had pushed me, on purpose. Hard enough to send me falling downstairs with a heavy cooler in my hands. Why? I finally managed. He's not talking much, but according to multiple witnesses, he'd been drinking heavily. Several people heard him complaining that you were in the way and taking too long with the drinks. One witness says he made a comment about moving you along right before you fell. He'd paralyzed me because I was taking too long bringing drinks to a party. There's something else, Officer Vasquez continued. We had a structural engineer examine that step. It was sound. It only broke because of the sudden force and angle of your fall. If you'd been descending normally, it would have held your weight. So even the broken step wasn't an excuse. The only reason it failed was because Travis pushed me. After Officer Vasquez left, I lay there trying to make sense of it all. My brother-in-law had deliberately pushed me down a flight of stairs. My wife had told me to stop faking when I couldn't move. Her family had mocked me for making a scene while I lay paralyzed on their lawn. And even now, Stephanie seemed more worried about the legal implications than about the fact that I'd never walk again. The transfer to the rehabilitation facility happened 2 weeks post-surgery. Physical therapist, occupational therapist, psychologist. A rotating team of medical professionals teaching me how to live in a body that no longer worked the way it should. Dr. Amanda Richardson was my primary rehabilitation doctor. 52 years old, 2 decades of experience in spinal injury recovery. I'm not going to lie to you, Nathan, she said during our first meeting. This is going to be the hardest thing you've ever done. You're grieving the life you had while simultaneously learning to build a new one. And the statistics show that spinal cord injury patients face enormous challenges: depression, divorce, financial hardship. You're really selling this, I said dryly. She smiled slightly. I believe in honesty, but I also believe in resilience. You're young. You're otherwise healthy. You have a good chance of regaining independence, even if you'll never walk again. It just depends on how hard you're willing to work. I worked. What else was I going to do? Stephanie visited once that first week at rehab. She stood by the window, arms crossed, watching me struggle through a basic transfer from bed to wheelchair. How long is this going to take? She asked. Rehab? Probably 3 months minimum. 3 months? She turned to face me. Nathan, we have bills. The mortgage. I can't keep taking time off work. You've visited me 4 times in 3 weeks. Because this is hard. Do you have any idea what it's like watching you like this? Do you have any idea what it's like being like this? She looked away. I don't think I can do this. Do what? This. She gestured vaguely at me. At the wheelchair, at the hospital room. I didn't sign up for this, Nathan. I married someone who could walk. That's not what I meant. That's exactly what you meant. She started crying. You're different now. Everything's different. I don't know how to handle this. I'm still the same person. No, you're not. You're angry all the time. You're depressed. You don't even try to be positive about this. I'm paralyzed, Stephanie. My brother-in-law pushed me down the stairs and destroyed my spine. Forgive me for not being cheerful about it. See? That's what I mean. You blame Travis. The security camera footage shows him pushing me. It was an accident. He's been charged with aggravated assault. She wiped her eyes. I can't keep doing this. Fighting with you. Feeling guilty all the time. Watching my family fall apart because of what happened. What happened? You mean when Travis assaulted me? Stop calling it that. That's what the police called it. That's what the prosecutors called it. That's what the criminal justice system calls it. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, I'm going to stay at my parents' house for a while. I need some space to think. Think about what? But I already knew. She left that afternoon. I never saw her in person again. The divorce papers arrived via email 4 weeks into rehab. Her lawyer, a guy named Robert Fletcher, who specialized in difficult family situations, laid it out clearly in the attached letter. Stephanie was filing for divorce on grounds of irreconcilable differences. She wanted her name off the mortgage, but was willing to let me keep the house if I could refinance. She wanted her car, her personal belongings, and half of our joint savings. She wasn't asking for alimony. That was something at least. I called the attorney Dr. Richardson had recommended. Patricia Wong, family law specialist, 28 years of experience. Your wife is trying to make this quick and clean. insane, Patricia said after reviewing the documents. Probably because she knows she'd look terrible in court. Her brother assaulted you, her family mocked you while you were injured, and she abandoned you during recovery. No judge would be sympathetic to her. So what do? We counter offer. The house should be fully yours. You'll need the accessibility modifications anyway. She should cover her own legal fees. And we push back on the savings split. Given the circumstances, you're entitled to more. We negotiated for 2 weeks. In the end, Stephanie agreed to everything just to make it final. The divorce was official 6 months after I fell down her parents' deck stairs. 6 months in which I'd lost the use of my legs, learned to use a wheelchair, started building a new life, and discovered exactly who my wife really was. Travis's trial happened 8 months after the incident. I testified from my wheelchair. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Diana Reeves with 19 years of courtroom experience, walked me through everything. The party, the stairs, the push, the paralysis. The defense attorney tried to paint it as an accident. A momentary lapse in judgment. My client had been drinking. He didn't intend for Mr. Morrison to be seriously injured, Diana fired back. Intent doesn't matter when you deliberately push someone down a flight of stairs. The security footage is unambiguous. Your client made a choice, and Mr. Morrison will live with the consequences of that choice for the rest of his life. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. Guilty on all charges. Travis was sentenced to 4 years in prison for aggravated assault. Nicole, the sister whose graduation party started all this, sent me a text message 2 days after the sentencing. I'm sorry things got so out of hand. Hope you're doing better. Not sorry for mocking me while I lay paralyzed. Not sorry for prioritizing her party over my injury. Just sorry things got out of hand. I didn't respond. Stephanie's parents sent nothing. No apology, no acknowledgement, nothing. The silence said everything. 1 year after the fall, I was living independently in a modified apartment. The house had been too big, too full of memories. I sold it and used the money to set up a place that actually worked for my life now. Ramped entrance, roll-in shower, kitchen with lowered counters. I'd found work I could do remotely. My employer had been surprisingly accommodating about the whole situation. Turns out, graphic design translates pretty well to a wheelchair-based lifestyle. Trevor, my best friend from college who'd visited me every week in the hospital and rehab, came over for dinner on the anniversary. How are you doing? He asked. Really, some days are harder than others, I admitted. I still get phantom sensations sometimes. Like my legs are there, but asleep. My brain hasn't fully accepted that they're not coming back. That's normal though, right? From what you've told me about the support group. I joined a spinal cord injury support group 3 months earlier. Talking to other people who understood the daily reality of paralysis had helped more than I wanted to admit. Yeah, it's normal. Dr. Richardson says it might never fully go away. The brain is stubborn about updating its body map. Trevor was quiet for a moment. You know what's messed up? A year ago you were walking, living a normal life, married, and one drunk asshole with anger issues changed everything in a second. Yeah, you ever regret testifying, pushing for the prosecution? I thought about it. About Travis in prison. About Stephanie's family fractured and angry. About becoming the villain in their story. No, I said finally. They would have made excuses forever. Downplayed it, convinced themselves it was just an accident, just bad luck, just something that happened and couldn't be helped. The trial forced them to face the truth, which is that Travis made a choice. A stupid, impulsive, drunk choice, but still a choice, and choices have consequences. My phone buzzed. Email notification. From Travis. I hadn't heard from him since the sentencing. I opened it cautiously. Nathan, I know you probably don't want to hear from me. I know nothing I say matters now, but I've had a lot of time to think in here, and I needed to tell you something. I'm sorry. Not because I got caught, not because I went to prison, but because I took something from you that I can never give back. Your legs, your mobility, your old life. I was drunk. I was angry that you were taking so long. I wanted you to move, so I gave you a shove. I didn't think about what would happen. Didn't think about the stairs, the weight you were carrying, the physics of it all. I just wanted you out of my way. And now you're in a wheelchair for the rest of your life because I couldn't wait 30 seconds for you to finish descending some stairs. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I wanted you to know that I understand what I did. I understand that I didn't just push you. I destroyed your life, and I'm sorry. Travis. I read it twice. Then I typed a response. Travis, you didn't destroy my life. You destroyed the life I had planned. There's a difference. I won't lie. Some days I hate you. I hate what you took from me. I hate that I'll never run again. Never walk my daughter down the aisle if I have kids. Never do 1,000 things I took for granted. But you know what you actually did? You showed me who Stephanie really was. You showed me who your whole family was. You revealed that when things got hard, they blamed me instead of supporting me. So yeah, you paralyzed me. But you also freed me from a marriage that would have collapsed the first time real adversity hit. You freed me from a family that valued appearances over empathy. I'm building a new life now. Different from what I planned, but still good. Still mine. So thanks for the apology. But I don't need it. I've moved on. Nathan. I hit send before I could second guess myself. Trevor, who'd been reading over my shoulder, let out a low whistle. That's cold, man. Is it? No, he said after a moment. It's honest. 2 years after the fall, I met someone. Her name was Riley. We'd connected through the spinal cord injury support group. She'd been in a car accident 3 years earlier and used a wheelchair wheelchair too. The thing about dating in a wheelchair, she said on our third date, is that it filters out the shallow people pretty fast. If someone can't handle the chair, they're not worth your time anyway. Stephanie couldn't handle the chair, I said. Then she saved you years of wasted time. Riley took a sip of her coffee. My ex couldn't handle it either. Kept saying I'd given up because I wasn't trying hard enough to walk again. Like I chose this. People who can walk never understand what it's like, I said. The grief isn't just about the physical loss. It's about everyone's expectations, their discomfort, their assumptions. Exactly, she smiled. That's why it's nice dating someone who gets it. We took things slow, built a relationship based on honesty and mutual understanding instead of denial and resentment. She moved in with me a year later. You know what's funny? She said one night, both of us on the couch watching a movie. If that asshole hadn't pushed you down the stairs, we never would have met. That's a weird silver lining. Life is weird. Tragedy breaks some people, breaks others open. You got broken open. I thought about that. About the person I'd been before the fall. Someone who ignored red flags in his marriage, who accepted his in-laws' passive aggression, who made himself small to keep the peace. I was letting myself disappear, I said, slowly, making concessions, accepting disrespect. The fall didn't just break my spine. It broke the illusion I was living in. Would you go back? Riley asked. If you could. If someone offered you a magic pill that would let you walk again, but you'd be back in that life, married to Stephanie, dealing with her family, living small, I considered it seriously. No, I said finally. I wouldn't go back. Yeah, Riley said, snuggling closer. Me neither.